Hello everyone and welcome back to yet another part in this character modeling tutorial series. And today we'll continue to work on our project here. Last time we started working here, we still had a bit of work left to be done on this side. But for now I'd like to skip it and work on it a little bit later so that we can focus on some of the other parts that are left to be done here. And I would like to try to use some other techniques as well, which you'll see today. So let's get started. First of all, I want to work on the leg here, and that's going to be quite easy because we have already very good topology on our high resolution mesh. So once again, I would like to try to just reduce it and create our low poly mesh from that. I'll make a copy of this in edit mode with Shift D and then just separate it by pressing P and then using selection from the menu. We might want to put this into our low collection and call it something like leg low. We'll fix the names later. Finally, let's just add a mirror modifier and we can start to work on it now. We won't be needing any of these creases anymore, so with Shift E I can change that. Just that I'll push down to one key and then the minus key so that all of our creases are gone. And now we'll basically select the ones that we don't need and erase them. With Shift H, I'll just isolate this part for a second. Actually, you know what, there's a better way. I don't know exactly if this is the same key on all keyboard layouts, but with the slash key, or the key that's for me right next to the the period key, I believe. Yeah, that gives you sort of an isolated view, and pressing it again will bring you back to sort of the whole scene. It's kind of confusing sometimes if you press it without knowing. The only way of knowing it is if it has the local thing here, but it's a good way to quickly focus on one object. Anyway, let's move on here, and I'll start by just selecting a couple of loops here. Let's start at the top maybe. I don't want to select every second, but maybe every third would be nice. We can quickly just roughly move them, distribute them a little bit. But in this direction I think we'll be taking every second, but I would like it to line up nicely. So let's see what we can do here. Maybe we'll take these two, and then we'll take one here and then every second. That should line just right up with this. And then these two. Let's try to delete that and see if that's good. I think that looks good enough. So we can move on. Yeah, we don't really need this, I believe. Or we can just move it, slide it up a little bit. That will maybe be better. And now we continue to work our way around. Here I'll once again select every second. And I think I'll just continue that all around. So I hold Alt Shift, by the way, to select these loops. And that brings us to the start where we began deleting these loops. And that result looks quite nice so far. We can quickly select this part here. So click on the first edge, Control click on the second edge. And then we'll just go to select loops, edge rings. And with these selected, you can hit the space function here. And that just distributes them nicely. I guess we'll go back in with the smooth brush and make this a bit smoother, but for the most part, that's pretty good. Now we still have a little bit more work to do here. We could delete all of these and do something similar on the other side. And that looks quite nice. Now on the inside, we actually don't need the inside very much. So let's just try to clean up the top first. And it turns out that this is a bit intersecting here, so we first have to figure out what belongs to where, which is a bit confusing. But I guess the high resolution mesh is going to stay this way. Do we even see this part? Let's quickly go out of this. It depends on how we want this to deform. So I think to keep things easy and not, just simple, we might as well just connect these if possible and try to bring in the joint somewhere around here and move this part together so that we don't have to, create any inner geometry with an open joint or something. That would just end up being more complicated. So turns out that we actually don't need to worry about that particular spot too much. Let's see if I can get the right selection. Oh, that was the right one. Alright, so since we don't have this detail, should we just... I'll just delete some of the loops so that we can actually see what we're looking at. I'll just go ahead and delete a bunch of loops here until this kind of gets straightened out. And then I might just scale this up with Alt-S so that it somewhat encapsulates the thing that we removed. The normal maps should give us at least a little bit of detail that we used to have here back, but otherwise that should be good enough. Up here, this is going to be the place where I'm just going to delete a loop completely, and on the bottom side I think I'll keep it together until let's just remove this loop maybe too. Yeah, that lines up, and then I'll delete the one after that here. So to get this a bit straightened out, let's just relax this a little bit. We could also hit flatten here. That kind of gives us a nice end to this. We can also scale it a bit down because the thickness doesn't have to be constant. And then we can just let's fill it first, then I'll inset it, then with Alt-S I will push it up a little bit to give it a bit of a curvature. Maybe that was a bit too much. Hit G twice maybe, then we can bring it back closer to that edge. And then finally I'll extrude one more time. I will delete the face, and then with this ring selected, merge at center. I hope that will look alright. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. And then at the top, basically we still have this inner geometry left, so I'm just going to hover over this area and hit L to select the inner part. Then we hit X, delete this inner section, and we can look at the top where I'm just going to do something similar as what we did below. So let's just merge at center. Yeah, so I guess that's yet another part done. We can now hit the slash key again and move on to our next section. Let's just enable the wireframe again, just so that we can see the topology somewhat. Now it turns out that here we have a little bit less geometry than I kind of like in the end. So I'm just going to go ahead and add something here. I guess a better way of doing it is to just bevel this part, then it's going to be sort of nicer distributed. But I have a feeling we won't get around shrink wrapping this one more time. So let's add a shrink wrap modifier, shrink it to the right shape, and yeah, so since this isn't symmetrical, we have to put this first and mirror afterwards, and then that shouldn't have too much of an impact anymore. Let's take a look. Yeah, it's just this section that we newly created. And now I kind of want to go back and just fix a little bit the smoothness of the topology here with my usual tool, the slide relax brush. Hold shift and brush over it a little bit. That will spread these loops out a little bit, where we just created something new, and that will help make it just look a bit nicer. Also try to here make this a little bit smoother manually, because as always the tool doesn't really consider the mirroring. I wonder if this helps a little bit at least. Not really. Okay. And I think I also want to, let's go into edit mode for a second. I want to add a little bit more geometry here as well, because yeah, I just feel I just feel like that's a good idea, basically. I am hoping that it could capture the silhouette a little bit better of these folds, so that it's not just the normal map doing the work here. So yeah, let's try to spread this out somewhat evenly. Can go with a very large brush, but I'll try not to touch the bottom too much, because that would distort it a little bit too much. So yeah, I don't know, maybe this is a little bit too much after all. Maybe the high-res mesh just didn't have these details, so I'm not really able to bring them out here. So we'll just remove it again. I think it was better like this after all. It's again, you know, testing, trial and error, until you find the right solution to your problem. But that looks a bit nicer now, I believe. If we go back to this view, it should line up a bit nicer. To be quite honest, looking at this as a whole, my criticism here would be that the density of this and the density of this are too different. Like, this should have been denser, quite honestly. And now that I'm looking at it, it wouldn't have even been that difficult. We could just separate these, and I'm now starting to consider if we should do that. So we would basically be splitting all of these loops to line up with this here, which would make a lot of sense. And so here's a question: go with like this, or do we go like that? I think this is better. So we'd have to split these loops, and that is going to make it so that we have to do a lot of cleanup again afterwards. But sure, why not? I say we do it then. Let's just select this edge here as well, so that it doesn't interfere with the detail here. And then we just hit Ctrl B. I will set this to 33%, just so it's as even as it can get. And then we'll just have to fix a few parts down here. I mean, actually we can leave it. This is actually some pretty good topology. Now it's all quads as well. But, you know, you could have also just done it like this, these connected. Should we do this? Let me just try it for a second. Personally, I feel that there is no real advantage in this case of having this compared to that, but I'm leaving it for now. It won't hurt, and I feel like we should do the same thing on the other side now, that just to keep it sort of similar on both sides. Oh yeah, I forgot that this lower section can't be snapped. That's going to give us some trouble again. Let's hide this part for a second, or maybe let's just focus on that instead. And so we should be able to just split this. You know what? I think I'll just delete all of these. Let's make this a circle. And then we'll just extrude and merge at center. And yeah, okay, we'll take care of this later. That should of course be centered, but yeah, our modifiers are messing this up a little bit at the moment. Alright, so let's see. This already looks very nice, as if that was already the original sort of distribution. Let's just, this is always a bit annoying, this is not really something you have to do. I'll just go ahead and fix up the materials very quickly. What is the right one? This, it seems. Oh, maybe also our shrink wrap modifier is doing quite a lot of work here as well for us. That is why it's all quite smooth. But I think it is a good idea to just go over this one more time with our smooth brush. To just make sure that it is as good as it can get. Here let's push it up a little bit to even it out, and that looks a little bit better. So yeah, since there wasn't any big issues, I'm actually quite happy with this decision. Yeah, that's okay. The rest here will be taken care of by the normal map, I believe. So yeah, as long as we just have a little bit of a bump, I'm quite happy with that. I really prefer the smoothness of the mesh over sort of capturing every sharp detail. I actually prefer to avoid really sharp angles as a whole, like no 90-degree angles, nothing too sharp. Like this is really the limit, in my opinion, for a sharp edge, which we have in this situation. I wouldn't want anything more than this. Yeah, I think it was fine the way it was. So yeah, I think this gives us a density that matches the rest better, and this is just you know, a lot more consistent and beautiful as a whole. So this is another lesson that you can try to keep in mind. In retopology, it is, you know, sometimes, it's not always, you don't have to take this as a 100% absolute rule, but it might be good to try to keep the density equal. You have to consider though the level of detail. Like here you have some fine details, so of course our density increases, but here in this empty area, you know, if two areas have the same amount of level of detail, so here there's just a flat area, here is just a flat area almost, just a little bit of curvature, they should roughly have the same amount of detail. So yeah, I mean, that's just my way of doing it. Feel free to look into the topic and have your own opinion, but whatever. Let's apply our modifier now. I'll go ahead and apply the shrink wrap, and we'll also, for now, apply the mirror modifier. I have a feeling that not all of these are actually mirrored, so let's just check that. I'll select this loop and check if that's going all around. Actually, it seems like it was all merged, so we don't have any issue here. Make sure that this line is merged together nicely, and then we can start to go over this with the brush a little bit, and you'll see that now, once this is applied, oh wait, let's undo this. We need to use the symmetry here now. Then it will all be, yeah, just a lot nicer. This is particularly important here in the back, it seemed, and here. Yeah, I think this is now a lot better than before. So let's disable this, and I'm just going to delete this half for now and use the mirror modifier again until we're ready to do the rest. And we'll also quickly look at the bottom here, and we'll do this also with the smoothing tool. Just brush over this a little bit. I'll be careful here not to touch the outer vertices beyond this ring, because I don't want to really affect those. Otherwise we'll just go like this. You can also try to select this ring, and we could hit relax. That looks maybe a bit nicer. Personally, I like this version a bit better. So yeah, not always that tool will be the right answer. You can play around with that and find what suits your needs best. Anything else we can do here? I mean, it doesn't look that nice, to be honest. Do we really need this loop, for example? I'll try to delete it, and let's shade it smooth. Disable the wireframe. Yeah, by the way, I have a feeling that we have some normal, flipped normal artifacts here. So what you want to do is select the entire object and hit Shift N. That solves these issues. I never really touched on that so far, so this is also good to know. Keep that in mind, maybe. Let's just select this entire bottom with Ctrl+. You can grow your selection. And I believe if we hit flatten with this, this becomes flat. So that's also a good thing. Yeah, alright, we'll probably leave it like this. I still feel like there is some things we can do. It doesn't look super even. Alright, let's maybe try to bring these a bit closer to their surrounding vertices, and that helps us to make it a bit more even. Yeah, generally speaking, this area is still a bit messy, quite honestly, but I don't want to modify these too much without the high-res model, because we're creating, you know, we end up creating some differences between those two models, and that will make it a bit more difficult for us to bake it or require more iterations until we figure it out. But I'll try to just at least a little bit bring it in the right direction. And I'm also reconsidering now my decision about these points. I mean, this was the alternative, and it's actually not too bad. Maybe we should go back to this, because I don't like how these extra points could mess it up for us. It's not a big difference, is it? Let's try to smooth this a bit. What about this one? You know what, we'll go for this version. The last version is maybe a bit better, although it has a few extra points to take care of. Finally, we'll just, you know, let's just smooth it out a bit. I don't even care at this point. There we go. That looks nice. Let's just check it with our high poly mesh quickly if we're not too far off. This is quite far off, isn't it? Yeah. Right, we'll have to manually push these out and just bring them a bit to the front. Oh, we need to make sure to select all the right faces and just make this section a bit pointier. Yeah, this is a little bit of a tricky spot, from my perspective at least. I think that most things in retopology aren't as difficult usually with the right tools, but the tools kind of work against you in this particular case, so you need to sort of, yeah, do a lot of manual work, and because, you know, the automatic smoothing tools, they try to make this peak go away, so yeah, that's what I mean. And usually manual placement is never accurate enough. But anyway, in this case, what I want to do now is let's select this edge, and I'll like grow my selection. We'll have to create a quick vertex group here. I don't know why we have a good vertex group already, so let's delete this. Do we need that? I don't think we needed that. I'll create a new one, assign these points to the group, and then in the modifier we can create a shrink wrap modifier, set the target to this mesh, but only use it on our vertex group. So now these places that we edited are snapped back to, well, the surrounding mesh. Now we can maybe go around one more time and try to move these points around a little bit. We could also try sculpt mode one more time. And not too much, not to destroy our progress. Just one last time, give it one click. I think that should now be then smooth enough for my for my preferences. This point is a bit off. I mean, I think you see what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to get this all balanced and even. No strangely shaped polygons and stuff like that. Yeah, this is a bit better. I mean, in the end, it's a lot of attention to detail, really, and a matter of how much time you put into it. It can always be better, but at the same time, it's not so necessary in many cases. Anyway, let's finally apply this modifier. Yes, and you see here we had some bad artifacts because it was in the wrong order. But when you apply modifier, it's as if it is in the first spot. So yeah, it kind of solved itself in this case. Let's apply that again. And here we go. So we have yet another part done in our character. We're really getting somewhere now. How many parts do we have already? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That should be maybe lower body. Lower body. And we could continue a bit further now. So let's give it a shot. We'll copy this object quickly with Shift D. Let's focus on it, and although we have sort of low poly already here with this, I think what I want to do is just apply this modifier for a moment. And I think we'll reduce the level before that though. Let's apply this one more time. Wait, what did we apply now? Alright. Let's just move it into the right place so that we can keep track of that. That's our feet. Feet low. We'll apply this here, and then we can start to reduce it one more time to get it to where we want it to be. So let's isolate it. We'll delete this section. We could, well, let's maybe take care of this part a bit later. Let's just leave it like this for now. There are a bunch of unnecessary loops, first of all, around this area. This we don't need for sure. Maybe we'll leave here a few, but this I remove, and this and this. So that's a bit lighter. I think this one isn't really needed as well after all. Maybe we could slide this a bit back before we delete it. This will go a bit down, just to even it out. So, you know, that gives us a little bit of the silhouette, but then at the same time, from this perspective, the detail will be given through a normal map. And then finally, let's just work our way up here. I mean, to be really honest, I don't like the topology here. Since we're doing with topology, I think we should we should fix this. In the high poly version, it wasn't really necessary because we were able to achieve our desired geometry through this, but I don't know. I mean, it looks quite stretched, and I don't like stretched polys. So let's see what we can do here. I'll just go in and delete a bunch of points like this. Maybe not this one. So let's delete them, and I'm really starting to wonder if it was a good idea to start with that mesh instead of just starting over. So we can try to now get everything in order a little bit. I'll scale this along the y-axis by 0 so that this is just straight, and I think we'll move it back a little bit, and to adjust the rest we'll have to push that back a bit as well, and it's all getting a bit messy for now, but let's just push it all a bit back. And what I'm planning is that this here still connects to the top, first of all. But then around here, we'll remove these points as well. These 3 here maybe. We'll kind of try to go down here and connect these in this direction instead. So, something like this is what I have in mind. We can do it very rough for now and fix the shape later. So that's the good thing, or something that's very good to know in your topology. You don't have to get it all right, like aligned to the mesh right away. You can yeah, take your time with that. Let's just see it, make sure that this is the right way. If we should be connecting that up. Yeah, okay. That looks good. Now we have the same topology on both sides. Let's just go up another step. Now I have to think. Is that correct? Feel like it is. Maybe we're just not. Yeah, we just need to do this at the same. And then we should be able to sort of get these aligned. So here these are going to line up like this, and then we need 2 more cuts here. And then it all comes together. So that was complicated, wasn't it? It's quite hard. It must be quite hard to, you know, have an image of this in your mind, but if you don't know where to start, just go like this, you know. Do one square at a time. We'll see where it lines up. And, you know, here is already a square, so we just need to get the number of loops right. Wait, where does this go again? Oh, we have a little mistake here. So this loop is supposed to join to here, so probably made a little bit of an alignment mistake after all. These should come together in the end, so let's just connect them. We'll connect the rest as well now that we're at it. So yeah, trying to do it, you'll figure out where your mistakes are, and you know, trying with Control R, see where the loop cut goes, and these loops should be clean and line up. If you ever get a spiral, like that's a very bad thing. Get rid of all of your spirals, and by that I mean, for example, imagine you had something like this. I will quickly show you what I mean. I mean, you know, this might look alright. Looks clean, okay, this section. But then if you do a loop cut, you get something like this. This is very bad for many reasons. I mean, it's just hard to edit it in that state. So make sure that your loops are clean. I mean, they're called loops for a reason, I guess. So, now, what is that loop supposed to be? So that is alright, it seems. But for some reason it doesn't line up. It's hard to compare the two sides as well. So this loop is here, this loop is here. Can we merge these? It feels like what's a good way to compare this? Well, let's take the center line. Maybe we can go like this, and that should highlight where our mistake is. Here we have. So this part is correct. I'm still very confused, to be honest. Well, that just goes to show how it's not very easy. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now let's compare this section only. It's like find the mistake, just a lot more complicated. So okay, now we know it for sure. Here are 3 loops, here 4 loops, there's 1 loop too much on this side. So basically I just removed this loop, we don't need this. And finally we have it figured out. So that was a lot more complicated than it needed to be. Maybe we should have started with a new mesh instead of trying to do it from the original mesh, but you know, we did it in the end. And since, yeah, I mean, this was kind of a bad example, I feel. I kind of messed up myself personally, but maybe you can learn from this. Anyway, we still have to do a little bit of cleanup, so I will show you how I go about that. So here I'm just going to do grid fill and make sure that the center line is lining up, and that is not, you know, that is just roughly the same. That will help now. and I'm just going to reduce it quite a bit because I want to align and adjust all these things, so I just need it to be reduced for a moment. Yeah, let's push this down a tiny bit. This can go up, and here we'll just remove a few of these loops more. I will add them back in a bit, but I need them gone for a moment just to, you know, oh, maybe I shouldn't have deleted that one. So I'm just removing that so that I have a moment to sort of, yeah, clean things up, get things in the right spot. And you know, we carefully place these here, but I'm afraid I have to remove them for a second. So that's what I meant by maybe it wasn't a good idea to do it in this way, but anyway. So now we want to shrink wrap it onto this mesh, this one. Let's select both of these and isolate them. We'll take the low resolution one and activate our wireframe just so that we can see what we're doing. And then we'll use our typical tools like the smoothing here to just figure out a good distribution of these points. I wanted these here to be a bit straighter, for example. Let's start by adding something back in here for starters. Then we'll go around here and it should be good. Yeah, I should have been a bit more careful with this edge. There's probably a better way for that. Do we have to? No, that looks alright. Yeah, we just have to smooth out the inside as well, since we're not working symmetrically. Alright, so then let's apply this modifier for a second. I'll duplicate it and apply it here. And then we'll have to just go ahead and line this up manually. We will use the snapping feature and bring this to this line. Maybe we shouldn't brush over this anymore because we kind of need this line to be in this specific position and it doesn't make a lot of sense to smooth it out. But what we can do is just go around like this. Maybe I'll just select half of it first and hit space in the loop tools. Then I'll select the other half and hit space again. Then this is at least, you know, one of our landmarks, and now I can do something like this, hit G twice to slide the edge, and for the center maybe we can do yet another different method. Since this is flat, the easiest way to fix this is to just use the smooth tool, but be careful to set this to 1 and not beyond 1, and use the iterations to I don't know, 20 or so. That should really smooth it out, and that looks a lot nicer now. So the bottom is kind of done. Just make sure that this is also nicely projected to the mesh. And now just the top, we kind of need to line it up with the rest here in the bottom. So we could try something similar here. So we select this half. I must admit, this is quite a lot more challenging than I thought it would be, and I'm probably not doing it in the easiest way. So I apologize for that, but I'm pretty sure you'll be just fine. You'll figure it out. I know you guys are smart. But yeah, mistakes can happen, and we learned from them. So let's select this edge too. I'm doing this in 2 halves because I want to control where it starts and ends. If I do it here, like the center line goes away. So what I want to do now is select this part and go to select and edge loops, edge rings. And then we'll go ahead and select these additional. These will deselect. And then we should just be able to hit space, and that will bring everything into position for this half. And then we need to do the same for the other side. Bit of a complicated maneuver, but here we go. Edge rings. Oh wait, did we do that before? Oh, okay. We should have been a bit more careful with our selection, so we don't need this, and apparently we have some selection at the bottom as well. We don't need this selected as well. I only wanted this to be part of our selection. Space, wait. It was already. Let's undo a few more steps. Okay, this is where I made the mistake. So, let's deselect this part. Now we'll hit space, and now it should have done what I wanted it to do. We'll do the same for the other side. Edge loops, edge rings. Now we'll have to select this side, some of the edges that are mistakenly selected here. We'll have to select these. Apparently these were deselected. Or I guess, yeah, that makes sense. Then we'll space this out evenly as well. And now finally, maybe we'll just go ahead and quickly duplicate and apply this shrink wrap modifier once again. Now what we need to do is to just smooth out this particular spot where this method struggled a little bit. And that should finally give us our nice and even even topology that we so hardly worked for. And we can just let's not mess it up now. I just want to pull down this a little bit. Should back up by 50%. Oh, well, without your snapping tools on. That would be good. Yeah, doing this back and forth motion once makes sure that this is sort of centered between these two areas, so these two loops, so that helps a bit. So now that our lines are basically in place, we can go back in and just add all the loop cuts that we need. So if we need more, we just add a few, and that should all snap into place nicely. Yeah, actually here we also want the second loop. So what I'll do maybe is, let's hit Ctrl R, move this loop as far down as you can, and then we'll bring it back. I'll scale it down, S and then Z-axis and then 0, and then we'll move it up and just hit S to scale it out a little bit to sort of match this area. That should snap nicely to this line, and then we'll have to adjust this loop again. We'll slide it up once and then slide it back down, and then it should be nicely aligned, and here we have a nice even place where we can add another edge loop, by the way. I think we'll need one more. I mean, maybe we didn't need it, but I'm adding it anyway. And here we add another one. Let's bring back the rest of our mesh. Yeah, I mean, this lines up quite pretty. I'm a bit lucky, I believe, that this just happened, but this is exactly what I wanted to have. So that's quite nice. So let's just isolate this one more time. One thing only I would like to do a little bit is to get this a bit straighter. So maybe let's select this loop, and I'll hit S and then Y and scale it to 0 actually. Then I'll hit the next one, scale it by 0.5, select next one, 0.25. No, that doesn't make sense, 0.75 I believe. And then this one, don't forget to select the other side as well. SY, maybe not, maybe it's fine just like that. And here on this side we'll also scale it down 0. Yeah, this is quite a tricky spot. I'll be really honest. There's a lot of optimization that you can do. We'll have to apply this again, duplicate and apply, and we're back to our smoothing process. It's a lot of back and forth, but eventually we'll reach a good result here. This is getting so long. I really thought that this was going to be a quick last task. It just takes maybe 5 minutes or so. Well, look at us now. And I guess we'll finally give this a grid fill. Grid fill, F3, grid fill. Let's just get the settings right, make it line up here. Maybe we can give it a bit more, like this. Yeah, that looks very nice. I'm just going to smooth this out now with the slide tool. Since the top doesn't really have a sharp edge, I feel like we can just do it this way. Maybe that's going to be for the best. If we need to fix it, we'll do it in another part. Let's see if we can even this out a little bit. Not the greatest here. This part. Well, let's hit it with the smooth brush. I hope it doesn't go too far off. I feel like I'm going to get so many comments on this video telling me what I should have done. Well, well, well. It wasn't the greatest, but I think we somehow managed. And if I would have to do it again, I would do it differently. Possibly I would just do my other methods of starting with the lines that I want to have and then connecting them up, a more traditional retopology method. But here we are, it's done. It's all nice and it will be able to capture the details. I mean, maybe we waste a bit too many points here and this is not super straight, which really annoys me, to be honest. Let's just push this out a bit because this should be on the edge. I really don't like that. But here, and we'll just adjust a little bit the rest, push this a little bit back with our slide tool, G twice, and maybe we'll select this part and smooth it out a tiny bit. That's now saved a bit better than what it was. Maybe this goes here. Alright, good enough, good enough. I hope it's good enough for you too. So let's take a look at the low poly only. This is where we're at. We still have to do the fingers, we still have to do this inner section here. And I might just go ahead and delete this edge. I'm pretty sure the normal map will capture that part, and it wasn't very accurate anyway. So we're just solving that issue in this way now. Let's finally apply this modifier and we'll call it done. I'm so bad at stopping to work. Yeah, we'll leave it here. I'm not touching it anymore. Definitely not. You can try to set this all to shaded smooth for a second, or flat, whatever you prefer for now. This is just preview anyway. Alright, there we are. There we are. Wow, this video has been long, almost an hour. I apologize for a super long video. I hope you skipped through the unimportant parts. I can't believe that we did this entire section in the first 20 minutes and then this little basic part in the last 30 minutes or so. But that happens. So then we have a few more details. I also notice there's the belt parts still, and we still haven't worked on the ears and the hair and the cape, so still a lot left, but maybe within the next 3 videos or so, 3-4 videos maybe, we could be done with this. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed this video as usual, and I will see you in the next one.